Hi, my name's Leon. I work for Prus Construction. About to make my second video on getting Class B commercial driver's license pre-trip. I hope it helps all you guys. First thing you want to do when you're walking up to any truck, any vehicle, you want to make sure it's a safe environment. No wires hanging down, not out into traffic, no construction work going on around you, because you're going to have to concentrate on what you're doing. First thing you want to look at is make sure everything is intact on the truck. Mirrors, the glass, wipers are all present, your turn signals, headlights, bumper, whatever it may be. Your turn signals, you want your amber in the front, right in the rear. Mirrors are all intact. Then you want to look and see if the truck is leaning. If it would be leaning, it should be a bent frame, flat tire. That could be multiple things. Now you want to look down under the truck. You want to make sure there's nothing running out of the truck, any fluids, nothing hanging down out of the truck like a hydraulic hose or a cable, a control cable of some type, even tree branches, whatever it may be. After you've done that part, you want to start. You want to check with start with the engine compartment. That way you can have a safe start when we get in the cab. All right, we're going to start on the right side of the vehicle. They've added this part to it from my last video. The battery box mounted securely, and it's not rusted, eat out by acid or anything. They want you to check make sure the cells are full and the caps are present. When we move up, first thing you want to do, get my light on here. You want to check your oil. It would be with your dipstick. Grab it. You don't have to pull it all the way out. You don't have to check it in front of them. Make sure it's between add and full. Then you move up to your alternator. You want to make sure it's bolted securely. And you check your wiring. You look for burn up, frayed, rubbed, even loose. Loose will build heat, which will cause a fire. Then you want to check your belt. Make sure it's not cut, torn, frayed. Should have no more than 3/4 of an inch play. Your water pump, which is down underneath, you want to check it for leaks. It has no leaks and it's bolted securely. And the water pump and the alternator are belt driven. While you're here, you can even eyeball your water hoses, your lower radiator hose. It's not leaking. The clamps aren't damaged. The hose isn't bulging. Nothing dripping. Now we'll move to the other side of the truck. You want to start, I ideally like to start at the top and work my way down. You check your reservoir, coolant reservoir between add and full, hoses coming off of it, including the upper radiator hose, has no leaks. The hoses aren't damaged, they're not cracked, they're bulging, dripping. Then you can come down to your power steering reservoir, make sure it's, you don't have to really do it, but make sure it's between add and full. It's mounted securely. The hoses coming off of it, supply hose and pressure hose, they're not damaged, they're not cracked, they're not leaking. Clamps are present. Then you go to your air compressor, it's bolted securely. You want to grab what you can, but you don't want to be under the truck. It's bolted securely, it has no leaks. And on the back side of that, there's a power steering pump. It's bolted to the back side. If you're not sure where it's at, just follow your supply hose off your reservoir, it'll take you right to it. It's mounted securely. Be a little difficult to get in there, but it's not leaking. It's the main thing. Then we'll come out to your frame, the front part of your frame. It's not cracked. There's no welds that's re-cracked. There's no loose bolts and nuts, and it's longitudinal to the ground. Then we'll go to your steering gearbox. It's mounted securely. It has no leaks. Steering shaft, mounted securely. U-joint, the caps are present. And you go to your drag link or your pitman arm. It's mounted securely, there's no rust. Around here running out, which would indicate it's loose or been working loose. Go down to your drag link, shake it. It's mounted securely. It has castle nuts and cotter pins are present, front and rear. Then we'll go to your front spring hanger. Front spring hanger, mounted securely, it's not cracked. There's no bushings or anything that will be hanging out right here where the leaf spring meets it. Then here in the back, you got the rear spring hanger. It's mounted securely. It's not cracked or damaged in any way. There's no bushings hanging out of that. Your spring shackles are mounted securely. Your lock bolts and your pins are present. And we'll go to your leaf springs. Your leaf springs are stacked nice and neat. If they weren't, if they were crooked, one was out of place, would be a pretty good indication that your U-bolts are loose. But the springs are all present. You have to mention they're all there. They're not cracked or damaged in any way, stacked nice and neat. I'm going to go to your U-bolts. The U-bolts appear to be tight, but what you will want to look for down underneath is your nuts and washers. If they're going to break, that's generally what's going to break off, is right there. It'll be broke flush with the axle. But they all appear to be tight and they're all present. Alright, and we'll move up to your brake hose for your front brake. It's not damaged, it's not bulging, it's not dry rotted, it's not rubbed through. Then we go to your brake chamber. Brake chamber is mounted securely. Clamp is present and tight. Brake chamber has no dents, no rust holes. It's generally what you'll find with them if they do have a problem. Then we'll go to your slack adjuster. Your slack adjuster is present. It's mounted securely. And there's components here you have to name or you don't get credit. You have to name all these parts. You got your push rod, your clevis pins, and cotter pins are present, which should move no more than 1 inch when the brakes are applied. Alright, we'll move into your brake shoes. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but when you're looking at your brake shoes, you want to make sure that they have sufficient pad and they're not cracked or separating from the brake shoe itself. And you also want to look to make sure there's no oil or grease on them, which would indicate a bad inner wheel seal. Then you look at your drum, it has no cracks. It doesn't have no cracks, no more than a 1/16 of an inch lip here on the brake drum. It's not discolored, which would indicate brake overheating, and it's not damaged in any way. When you come up to your inside of your rim, it's not been welded on, it's not bent, it's not damaged in any way. You come inside of your tire, it's not damaged, it has no cuts, no cord hanging out, no bulges where you smack a curb or drop it into a chuck hole or something. You want to look at the top of your tire, make sure it's worn evenly. If it's not worn evenly, which is a pretty good indication that one of your steering components is bad, or a kingpin might be bad, which throws out the alignment. But you should have a minimum of 4/32 tread in the front on your steering tire. And we'll move out to the outside of the tire. Like I say, repeat just what it is on the inside. There's no cuts. It's not bulging. There's no cord hanging out. It's not dry rotted. The tire appears to be in great shape. The rim, it's not been welded on. It's not cracked, bent. All your lug nuts are present. There's no polished metal on the stud or the rim, which would indicate it's loose or been running loose. There's no rust trails coming off of it, which would indicate it had been loose. And you look at your hub cover. Hub cover, all the bolts are present and it's not leaking. You want to check for sufficient gear oil level in the front hub. Then we go to your valve stem. The valve stem is present, it's not damaged in any way, and you would check your pressure either with a tire gauge or with a rubber mallet. All right, I want to go ahead and shut the hood. You're going to need the hood shut because you're going to be getting in the truck here shortly to do everything in the in-cab. And you're going to need to do your brake test and all that good stuff, but you need the hood closed ahead of time. Oh, what I didn't mention before earlier, when you come up to look at the truck, that would be the time to put your wheel chalk out. Kind of read what the terrain looks like. And the wheel chalk is inside the truck. All right, come back to the fuel area. You want to look at the fuel tank. No leaks. Then you look at your fuel tank straps. They're tight. They're not rusted in two or broken. And you got to check this rubber isolator that goes between the straps and the tank. That's something new they added that Well, you don't have metal to metal rubbing as it's driving down the road. Then you want to check your steps. Make sure they're not damaged in any way where they'll support your body weight. And you also want to look, I don't know, make sure they're not damaged, which would cause a trip hazard as you're getting in or out of the truck. And this one appears to be fine. Then you want to check the door, make sure it latches properly. Your mirror, bolted up securely. Mirror's not damaged in any way, it's clean. Make sure the hinges are good on the door, it's mounted securely. We're getting ready to get inside and do the end cab, but on your way in you can mention your fire extinguisher is fully charged in the correct type. So we can get in now and we'll do your end cab because you got a 3-part brake test in there that you have to pass. If you don't pass that part, you're wasting your time on the rest of it. We'll get in and do that now and get that out of the way. That way we'll have plenty of time to do the back.